Okay, here we are in InDesign, and I have my new document dialog box open. I have my measurements here, 4 inches by 3 inches. Starting off with one page for our example, no margins, to have a nice clean workspace. I have plugged in my 0.125 inches of bleed on all 4 sides, and I'll now create my document. And here I have my workspace in the white, the hard edge up against the gray, that's the trim line, and that nice little red hairline around there. On the edges is your bleed. If we go to our master page, and we're going to put information in here that's going to be stuff that's going to sit in the document and go on every single page. We don't want to have to input it every single time we create a new page, so we're going to create it in the master page and then just drag that master page down into the live pages and go from there. So I'm going to put some guides in here. I'm going to drag from the rulers, and I'm going to put the guides up against the trim line so that I can see the trim when I start placing artwork into my layout. Now I'm also going to put a solid color in the background, and I've chosen my rectangle tool. My swatch palettes, it's not open yet because it wants me to create that box. So I'm going to go from the upper left edge of the bleed right at that red line, and I'm going to click and drag all the way down to the bottom red of the bleed at that red line as well. And it pushes this black line as a stroke by default, and that's what InDesign does. So we're going to delete that, putting none. Switch back to the fill box, and I'm going to put a color. And then I'm going to go back to my pages palette, and I'm still in the master. So I'm going to double click on my first page, and as I double click, it's going to change the color of the page itself as well as highlight the number of the page that I'm on. So I'm no longer in the master page, I'm in the live pages. If I go back and I click once on the master page, I'm still active in page 1. And you can tell that because a master is not highlighted, but the one is. So if I double click on the master page, then I am working in the master page. So I want to drag and create other pages in my pages palette. So I'm just going to click, hold down on the master page and drag it underneath. Okay, I have 6 pages. Now, whatever I do up in the master page, that's going to be permanently inside of the live pages and will not move. So if I go up here and I double clicked and I've selected it and I want to put text in here, and I'm just going to write in flashcards, and I want that to be centered. So I'll click up there. That's pretty centered, more or less. Now if I double click on my 1 through 6 pages, you'll see it's exactly the same, but notice that it's not highlighted, so it's not active. I can move it around here. You can see it moves within the live pages. But when I go and double click on my living pages, my actual live pages, I cannot move the color or the text that I've created. So now if I want to put some more of my own text in there, putting bleed, that's going to go on the front of your card, and your definition will go on the back of your card. So I'm going to copy, go to page 2, and put my definition. And there you have 2 pages already. So I want to make a PDF of these pages. I'm going to go, first I'm going to save. Make sure you save your documents, and I'm going to title it. Oops, let's make it green cards. And that's going to go in my cards palette or cards folder that's on my desktop. And we save it, and then we go to File and Export, or use the keyboard command. And it brings you to this box of export, and yep, that's where it's going to go, into that same place. Perfect. We get to the PDF creator, so you're exporting as an Adobe PDF. You're going to choose the PDF X1A 2001, and then you will pick the highest compatibility, which happens to be 8 to 9. You'll then go to marks and bleeds, and you'll click on crop marks. That's the only one you want. And because we have our bleed at 0.125 inches, we want the marks to actually print outside of where we have our bleed setting. So we made that 0.135 inches. And then here, so that the bleed that we created in the document is included in our PDF, you click on that and you can see here it populates with the 0.125 all around. The next, I think that's all we have to worry about here, right? Yeah. We're good. And then we'll export. And here is your PDF front and back. And you can see where the crop marks actually print when they're on here. They're outside of the bleed, so they're not actually touching, and those will not print. And that's it.